gone ahead and made our Italian seasoning, as you can see here. And it did all fit in this jar. I just couldn't mix it in the jar. So I had to mix it in a bigger bowl and then pack it all into here. It smells amazing. And now it's time to make our pasta sauce. So we pricked all of this fresh from our garden. We got a couple nice sprigs of basil, which we will use. And believe me, we're going to use it because I have so much in the tomatoes section here. So we have Romas and regular, I can't remember the name that these are, something boy tomatoes, who knows. Roma tomatoes. I did set aside some Roma tomatoes that we will be using to do sun-dried tomatoes, and I'll show you that recipe later. So these have all been washed, and we are also using cherry tomatoes. We have so many cherry tomatoes from our garden, and I know you can't peel them effectively or efficiently because that would take forever to peel all of these. So what we do is we boil them, then basically put them in a blender, blend it up, run it through a strainer, get all that pulp out and stuff, and we're left with some of the real sweet flavor from these, and it tastes great in our tomato sauce. So basically a blend of tomatoes that we use, just whatever we get out of our garden, and that's how our sauce is made. Simple, easy to do. We're just gonna parboil these to get them skinned, and so have a pot of water getting ready to boil. I'm gonna prep these by basically, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the stem part out here. I'm gonna cut an X on the back here, a little cross pattern. Then you throw these in boiling water for like 30 seconds or so. You'll start to see the skin start to peel a little bit. Take them out, put them in a bowl of ice water, and you do that for about 5 minutes, and the skin will pretty much start to come off, and you'll see it. You can peel it by hand, it's very quick. From there, you throw it in a pan with olive oil, reduce it down, just keep reducing it, and getting it towards a sauce. We add some salt and some of our seasoning, and that's it. So it's really just tomatoes, salt, olive oil, and our Italian seasoning that we made. And you have a great sauce. So let's get to it. Let's start prepping our tomatoes. Got a pot of water going on over here. It's on high, getting ready to boil. But until then, these have all been washed and the green stems removed. But what we need to do is prepare them for being parboiled. And so we're gonna boil them, then throw them in some water. But before we do that, I'm just gonna do this. So here's that cross pattern. I just have a paring knife and just basically cut it into it like so. And that just gives the skin a little place to start to perforate. And you didn't know you were going to use such big words on this. And then when you do this, you just stick this in and you just press down, and have a sharp knife. You're not moving the knife, you're just moving the tomato around. And that's the key to this, because I want to make you proud, Jacques Pepin. And well, apparently this knife might not be as sharp as I thought it was. And that was butchered. But, you know, something like that. It'll all come out. So we're going to start prepping these, and I probably should have gotten something to throw this in, because what a mistake that was. I got the proper knife, paring knife, and it's sharp, so I want to show you how it really should go, because you don't want to use the wrong knife. You could cut yourself, it's dangerous. So you basically are going to use your thumb, and I learned this from Jacques Pepin, and again, you're just turning the tomato, keeping your thumb on the piece, cut that out, and then just a little cross pattern on the back, and that's it. So I'm doing these so you can see, just sticking my thumb in there, and it's a turn in the tomato, that's it. All the tomatoes are prepped and ready to go. I have a pot of boiling water right here. I have a pot of ice water right here, and I have more ice making, so basically it's a fairly simple thing to do. You're gonna put your tomatoes in here, 30 seconds. You can do multiple at a time. You'll know when you start to see the peel coming off, and I'll take them out and show you. But you know, obviously you're dealing with boiling water, so be very careful in how you do that, putting them in and getting them out. You could use a spoon like this, although I'm going to use this because it'll be a much better utensil at the moment. So here we go. Just gonna put a couple tomatoes on like so. Gently lower them in. And I'll do a couple with the camera close in a second so you can see what is happening in here. And just let those go for a little bit. It's like magic. Alright, this one, the skin is already coming off, so I'm going to take it out, put it in there, and that's all I'm looking for, is just to see where I can start to see the skin popping off. Some happen sooner. Yeah. There we go. And we're going to leave these in the water, ice water, for a good 5 minutes or so. And here we go. These are all good. I'm going to put more ice, but I'll show you one up close. They're still firm. Get that water there, but you'll see the skin popping off. There you go. And when you put them in ice water, it makes it contract and will shrivel up, and then they will start to peel very easily. So I'm going to keep doing this. And that's the rest of them. Then I'm going to go ahead and start with my cherry tomatoes and put these in. So again, be gentle. The water is hot, and you don't want to just start dumping these out, although I'm tempted to because it takes so long. And these I'm going to go ahead and just boil for a little while, and then I will run these through the food processor and then run them through a strainer to get all the skins out, but we still get the flavor of the cherry tomatoes in here. So let these run for a little bit, and we'll be back. Like that. Here we are. We're gonna get ready for the pasta sauce. So I have my Dutch oven heating up. You don't ever put it in a cold pot. Also, don't put your oil in right away. You want to cook your oil before it gets there. So just get this nice and hot, and while that's warming up, you're gonna go ahead and peel your tomatoes. So the skins just come right off, and the thing about this process is while the skins come right off, the tomato's still pretty firm, so which is a good thing. You want that. And so all we're gonna do is get them, and sometimes you might need a knife if it didn't get all the skin off. You can just use a knife. and we'll go through that fiasco all over again. But that's all I'm doing. Just peeling away. All of my tomatoes have been peeled. Painstaking process, let me tell you. And the ones that were stubborn, I had to get a paring knife and peel them with that. That's all done. I have my Dutch oven nice and hot. Now I'm just gonna dice these rough. Doesn't have to be like, just chopped basically. And then I'm just gonna put a good amount of olive oil in the pot, and pretty much that's it. Start to render it, cook it down. So chop, chop, and more chopping. And that's about it. Just rough cut. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Let me get a good shot here so you can see. So that's all I'm gonna do. Chop these up, and I'll show you once I get them in there. This is nice and warm. Got olive oil. You're gonna want a good amount. I have my tomatoes all chopped up right here. I have some cherry tomatoes there, and I have my basil freshly picked from our garden right here. All these tomatoes and everything straight from our garden. So a couple things I'm going to do first. Knowing this is really hot, good amount of olive oil for the amount of tomatoes we have. And then we're going to go ahead and just start to put these in. And you can see why I use the Dutch oven, because this is an awful lot here. You can use a stock pot, I guess, but go ahead and get those in. And we're gonna let this kind of cook and render down a little bit. And let's just see how this bad boy goes. You could crush them. Some people crush them up and get them in there. This takes quite a while. I have a sip of wine. I said a sip, but yeah, what the heck. I've been working hard. So I'm just gonna use this mesher. Just kind of do a little crushing here. Some people crush them by hand. It's fine. However you want to do it. Turn the heat up here. And I'll continue to do this throughout the cooking process. So let these render down a little bit. Some are still hefty. So just to get it started, I'll do that. Now, this is all fine and dandy. It's gonna come out well. I have olive oil in there. Not gonna put my basil or my seasoning quite yet, because I still have all of these cherry tomatoes that I need to put in the blender and then get the pulp out and strain it and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be the next step. What I am going to do is just kind of stir this up a little. Roll that olive oil in there. And I know this looks like a lot, and believe me, it is a lot. It does make quite a bit, but I'm going to cook this down and then continue to mash it, chop it up a bit. So do that. Then put my lid on for a little bit. Let it all just reduce, render down. And we'll be back. More processing. Ha 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 ha. We are not done. with processing tomatoes. So we have all of these cherry tomatoes still. They are sweet, great flavor. Love putting it in there because when you make your sauce, you can add some sugar and that's fine. Or these give a really natural sweetness to it that we like. That way, if you are going to put sugar, you could put very little depending on taste. So, first things first, remove your lid, and we've got the Ninja, or what is this thing? Yeah, Ninja. Anyways, these are still a little warm after boiling them. They're going to blend pretty easy, so I'm going to give these a good amount here. Be able to do all of it, and then I have a strainer which will strain out all of the skins and seeds, I guess. So I'm going to try to get as much as I can in here because I don't want to have to keep doing this over and over, so get it kind of full. And then my next one will be so much. So there, I'll stop there. Alright. Power on. And I'm going to puree, because why not? And just like that, you have pureed tomatoes. Throw that in there, and same for this, because eventually it's going all back in. And now the fun part of straining. Turn this up a little bit. I don't know how all that came out, but something to solve for. And now time to strain these. I'm not going to push down. I'm just stirring and trying to get the pulp up off the bottom so that the juice flows down. And then you can press it afterwards. If you start pressing now, the seeds and the skin get caught in the strainer, so it's good just to kind of let it flow. And all I'm doing is trying to remove the skin and everything from the bottom. Finally. That's the last of the tomato processing. Let me get a little shot over here so you can see the look on my face that this is a labor of love. Obviously, don't do this if you don't have time, patience, or passion for it. Don't waste your time. You're gonna get frustrated, you're gonna hate it. I love this stuff. My beautiful wife, she's going, you know, when I do this, she, it's alright, stop that. But I'm gonna start kind of, got this rendering down a little. Look at that beautiful color. All of these. I'm just gonna mash it up a little more. I'm gonna keep doing this through the process. And now that it's rendering down, one of the great things about this and having some fresh basil is, ooh, that's awesome. You put your basil in, you just get your sprigs, throw them in there, and you don't even chop it up, you just throw your basil in. I'm just gonna let it wilt. Here we have our basil going, and basically you're looking for a few things. You're looking for the oil to rise around the edge. Comes up with like a bit of an orange kind of color. Also, you're gonna look for your basil to wilt. So get the heat up nice and good here. I have it on a medium-high heat, and I'm not gonna submerge the basil until it wilts. Now you can sit here And I know this is just riveting footage of watching this happen, but we're not going to do that. I'm going to spare all of us this time, and I'm going to cut here, and I will return when the basils wilt. The final part of the wilting. The wilting. So you can see here, maybe you can't, but I'm gonna try to get you in there. See? It's wilting, said no witch ever. And so anyways, I got my basil wilting. It's starting to come up. I'm gonna reduce the heat a little bit. I'm just gonna push this down into the fastest size. Just push it in there. It's all gonna cook up all nice together. You can see it all rendering down beautifully, nice color. And what I'm gonna do, lower the heat here, is I'm just gonna let this kind of ride out a little bit. Start to reduce it down. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Look at this. We're all professional here. We got this salt thing. I love this thing because now you can like do salt like that. Anyways, had this for a while, but if you don't have one, get one. Just do a decent amount of salt. You can taste it later. And then also I'm just gonna continue to crush these tomatoes down a little more. Work the basil in. Now you can, and what some people do is they put garlic cloves in, which I think is amazing. I just don't have any at the moment, and I should have got some fresh garlic to put in here. But if you check out the recipe for our Italian seasoning, which I'm about to include in this, it includes garlic powder, so now you don't have to go overboard with it. It's okay. And then you should be alright. So I'm going to take that. And I'm just going to continue to kind of break it up a little at a time. And put it on there. I'm going to add some of our Italian seasoning, which we did earlier. So check that recipe out. I have it kind of bulk right now, but I'm going to go ahead and just put a good tablespoon and a half or so. All right. Then I'm going to stir this up. Get it all stirred up in here. My beautiful daughter just got done taking a bath. She's roaming around. So, stirring this up. A couple things I'm going to check for later on as this starts to reduce. I'm going to check for salt content. I'm also going to check for sweetness, if I need to add a little sugar. And then if I need to add a little bit more olive oil as well. So just a few things to check as you're making this and it's going along. Continue to cook it, reduce it down, break up those chunks. This has been going for at least an hour now, and I've been tasting it in between for salt, sugar, olive oil. I went ahead and added a little bit of sugar just to enhance the sweetness of the tomatoes. I did add some bay leaves in here, and I did add a little bit more salt as well as a little bit more olive oil. So just as it's rendering down and cooking, it all intensifies. Make sure you are checking it every so often to see how you like it. So basically I'm letting this render down just probably another 20 minutes or so. But with the bay leaves in and everything, this is about ready. It tastes amazing. It is the second day. Not gonna lie, last night was brutal. I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I really should have started this process a whole lot sooner or earlier in the day. But after rendering down the sauce, letting it cool, putting it in the fridge, I'm now ready to put it in some quart-size bags. I'm going to put it in quart-size bags, and then we will freeze them, because this made quite a bit of sauce. So we got these nifty gadgets on Amazon, and they hold the bags open like so. So if you're doing any kind of bulk stuff, and anytime we use the sous vide or we're cooking in large quantities and we're storing things, like these come in really handy. So it comes in handy for this. And the cool thing is it's just a little grip. You can adjust them as high as the bags are, so you go higher, wider, whatever you need. And this is just a funnel for canning, and this is really it. I know it's riveting, but I just got a little cup here. I'm gonna move this over. Let the sauce cool, and it is delicious looking. And I've been tasting it as I go along to add whatever I think is needed. So really, you're just gonna. And it's important to use the funnel because you will get the edges of the bags dirty. So just be mindful of that. Last two I have just a little extra. Well, there you have it. Oh, so good. So really deliciously good. So try it, make your own, put whatever kind of seasonings you like in it. It's pasta sauce. It's really hard to go wrong. The thing you have to make sure is that it's really just prepping all the tomatoes. Like, we used fresh tomatoes straight from our garden, and that's a lot to parboil and peel and get everything, but that's part of having a garden, and it's all organic. We know where the food comes from. We really enjoy it, and I could tell like a huge difference when you have fresh tomatoes and ingredients in your cooking as compared to getting something store-bought. It's just a brighter, more full, fresh flavor. I don't know how to describe it, but those of you that eat this way, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, give it a shot. It's all good stuff. Just give it a shot. What are you waiting for? Bag it. Cook it, bag it. Make it.